One thing I was thinking, which could be interesting for us, I figured we could go like trend after trend. Like I throw a trend at you and you let me know your thoughts about it, whether it's like a good trend, if we should like keep it in the fitness industry, or if it's like trash, we should get rid of it. What are your thoughts, buddy?
Are you talking about Trembolone?
Trash.
Actually earlier I was eating a Trembolone sandwich.
Oh, was that Oscar Mayer Gainz?
Yeah, actually, the sourdough sandwich bread I sent you a picture of earlier, I did have a sandwich for lunch. I think eventually Sam doesn't want me to do it, but I want to get like a deli slicer.
Oh snap! I think they're like 2 or 3K, like good ones.
Oh really? Dang.
Yeah, they're pretty
expensive. My mom had one. I wonder if she still has it. It's like from my grandparents. I wonder if she still. Maybe I should ask her.
They're pretty dope because you can buy like 20-pound like hunks of roast beef, and it's like it cuts it razor thin. Like you can set the depth to like 1 millimeter. It's so crazy. I used to use one when I worked at Quiznos, and those things are like absolute butter. You just like you put the meat in, you compress it just a little bit so it stays in place, and you just like zoom, 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 and before you know it, you've got like 5 pounds of shredded like yumminess just ready to serve up to your unsuspecting customers.
Well, and also too, you could probably freeze it and then thaw it out when when you're running low, and then just put it in the fridge. So
imagine that for like chicken breast. Like you just boil a chicken breast and you're just like zoom, 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 zoom. Easiest way to like cut up. Well, maybe not, because the cleanup is probably a nightmare. But for like, if you want to make like chicken salad or something like that, chicken salad sandwich. Oh my God, unbelievable. What thoughts on chopped apple in chicken salad sandwiches?
I like it because I like salty and sweet things when it comes to like is it the umami? Is that what they say? The umami of food or eating meals.
Ooh, daddy.
The umami. I'm ooh dad. But no, I just, you know what, with this like bread making and all that, like, I don't know, I just don't really want, I don't know, maybe I could get better like sandwich meat, but that's like the one thing I'm also missing out on. Because I don't know how processed the sandwich meat I'm getting, and I don't also buy like the deli fresh meat either. So maybe I'll take it one step closer. Maybe I'll go to like a butcher and get like some deli meat eventually. But man, those sandwiches taste so darn yummy when you like make your own bread and all that. So
it's really,
and also
how much different it is.
And also too, that's the tallest sandwich bread I've made so far. Like, gosh darn, that thing rose like, man, it literally busted the saran wrap at the seams. I'm not even joking, because like you wrap it and then obviously you let it rise and all that. But yeah. Any updates you want to get into, Roman, before we kind of talk about like the yes and no's, I guess, or approval denials?
Let's see. My niece is here. I don't know how long she's gonna be here for. Probably a little bit, at least a couple months, I would think. So she's 4. She's like a tiny bundle of energy. So I definitely am earning more and more respect for parents every day. Cause I still want to go to the gym. Like I still want to go out and do stuff in society. You have to plan every little thing with a child. Like she needs a hat, like her little cute mittens. Like we need to double up those gloves because she's not used to being this cold. She's got this giant oversized jacket. We gotta get her rain boots so that her clogs don't get her little toesies wet. So we put a little Vaseline under her nose if she's got little sniffles. She's like the most finicky picky eater. So like I need to have like Costco supplies worth of all beef frankfurters or mac and cheese. So I'm calling out Bob Kraft, and I'm like, man, I love the New England Patriots. I'm really hoping we have like a bounce back year. How can I get in on this like on craft. Like I need to like be part of this. I need to be a shareholder. Like you need to let me in. I'm gonna buy like a lifetime's worth of mac and cheese in a couple of weeks to satisfy my little 4-year-old niece. So that's probably like the big update. Still working on the Gainz train. Maybe look at a obstacle course race in the next 5 to 6 months, just as like a prep for the fall if we actually go forward with the fall race. So that's pretty much updates on my end, buddy. What about you?
Yeah, I think I was telling you, Roman, it might be the first time, but for me, so I actually started putting a belt on here and there with squats. I haven't really done it with deadlifts yet, but like I'll post a video maybe before or after this podcast gets released. But I did hit 305 for a double on squats, or was that a single? Double or single? Single or double? With a belt on, which one of my goals was to start like squatting in the 300s last year, I think it was, which I didn't do that. I think I got the highest was like 275. But I didn't really like test it, I guess, if that makes sense. But this year I kind of want to get, working in the 300s because what, I am floating a little bit higher, like the 210 mark. And I think last year I said I was going to stay around 205, 210. So I've been staying around the 210 mark. I haven't been really recording much, which honestly I'm pretty happy about with my performance, my recovery, and everything else around it. So I have been loving that. Obviously getting some good proteins in as well. And we talked about it last episode about the fats and all that. I haven't really been paying attention too much to that because I just want to feel healthy and be healthy and perform. And then deadlifts, I have I hit, what was it, 425 beltless, so no belt. And I hit 474 last year with no belt as a single. I think I hit 425 either. I think it was a double. I hit 425 for a double. But I want to start pushing myself to go to the gym that has the deadlift platform. I haven't been really deadlifting too serious because the main gym doesn't have a platform, and it's like deadlifting on concrete. So I don't deadlift much, or if I deadlift, I might do like very, very low rack pulls to the point where like it's almost on the floor, but I don't do it on the floor much at the main gym. So I've been pushing myself to deadlift at the gym that has a platform, so I could get back up to like the almost 500-pound mark when it comes to deadlifts. Other than that, I've been trying to think about maybe throwing kettlebell work in my training, just to like kind of freshen things up and also learn a new trade. And when I mean a new trade, it's because primarily if you guys, as you guys see and know, I do barbell, dumbbells, and machines only. I don't really mess around too much with kettlebells. So I don't know. I've been trying to think about it and try to approach it a little bit more. But yeah, that's like the last thing. I know I said quite a bit right there. So
Do you do like calisthenics at all?
in a sense of
Push-ups, pull-ups.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I think I told you, but because I was doing that Mike Israetel program with RP, there was a bunch of like curls as fast as possible, push-ups to like a certain rep range as fast as possible, and pull-ups. I don't do the pull-ups with the rep count. I do the pull-ups with like a set count. But with push-ups, I actually still do that weekly, and I think I'm at like 70 or 75 push-ups in like a workout. So it may take me like 2 to 5 minutes, just depending on the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like around 2 to 5 minutes of pretty much like hard work, and like I'm trying to like the max rest I do is about 30 seconds. So I'll time it out and then put the time. I won't really put like, the sets. So.
Do you do any like plyometric or explosive training at all?
No. And that's what also too, I kind of want to maybe look into as well. And like the explosive work, like you were saying, like I haven't really done sled work, and a lot of the explosiveness I was doing was, I feel like, pushing the sled and trying to get it like to the destination as fast as possible, right? And obviously increasing the load. But I haven't done that in a while, and that's at another gym. So it's like, with all that in between, with like the deadlift platform and like a nice turf area with a nice sled, that's 3 gyms right there. So, so yeah,
I love it.
I just wish, that's a sad thing about moving back to Illinois. I don't really have a gym that has all 3 of those. All of that, to have all 3 of those gyms combined into one. When I went to EOS Fitness in Arizona, it had all that I just mentioned. It had the nice turf and sled. It had a deadlift platform, and it had all the barbell machines and dumbbells that I needed. So unfortunately, I don't have the good gym that has all of that. But I think there's another gym that I haven't gone to, that's like 10 minutes away from here, that I should try out because I think it may have all that. I just haven't tried it out yet. So
that's what I love about like fitness, like broadly speaking though, because there's like so many facets to it. Like if you want to get it, like if you wanted to get into it this summer, like you could bring Bo and Sam to a field and like throw a couple of sheets on your shoulders, and she could just like resist as you like run, or you could like run down a hill to like increase like speed, for explosiveness training. Like you could like invest in a ladder, do ladder drill type stuff. Like there's so many things. Like you could do yoga, like it's like the fitness like industry is so broad, and I think that there's so many ways that individuals can achieve their objectives of like leading a more like fit or healthy lifestyle. So that's like one of the exciting things too, that it's like you and I are like extremely passionate about like becoming like better versions of ourselves, like living a like fit and healthy lifestyle. And there's like so many things that we'd probably like generally recommend to like gen pop type individuals, and like we just don't have the time, or we're like not realizing it right now because we're like, oh, I want to work on strength, I want to work on like hypertrophy, I want to work on like endurance training. So there's only so many things that you can work on in the day.
Well, also too, back to that kettlebell thing I was just talking about, and I think because you and I, what you just mentioned, all those things, and also too, there's a amounts of knowledge that you should learn within going into those feats of strength when it comes to all the other topics, like kettlebells. Like I know there's so much out there, and I know it's so good and it looks so cool, but like it's kind of like ollie lifting. Like I don't get into Olympic lifting because of the fact that I don't have enough resources to dedicate that time to be a professional in it. And I think a lot of the times, like Roman and I won't go into certain things because we respect the professional side of things, and make sure like we're doing it 100% right. I don't load the bar with 425 on a deadlift and pretend like I know what I'm doing. It would be, I think there's a point where it's like you can't really load 425 on a bar and like pretend like you know what you're doing, unless you're like a freak and you're just strong. But you know what I'm saying, Roman? Does that make sense with like the kettlebell stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think that there are prerequisite movement abilities that you want to make sure that you check that off. This would like be a great resource, at least from like a visual standpoint. But check out, I think his like Instagram handle is like every goddamn Dre or something like that. That dude is Oh man, I learned about him first from Joe Rogan, believe it or not. But he's like a kettlebell like aficionado.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the training he does is like kettlebell only, and the dude is like ripped up and like,
Does he get featured on Squat University too by any chance?
yeah, pretty like
Okay, I probably seen him then. I think I know who you're talking about.
yeah, he usually lifts like shirtless, like pretty big guy, like pretty muscular.
Yeah.
And that is like purely kettlebell training. Like, he probably lifted barbells in the past, that kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
But like what he features on Instagram, and like what he'll tell people too, like, hey, this is like what I worked on today. Mostly kettlebells. So people that like hate on kettlebells, if there is a community that does that, like you can get like crazy ripped and strong too using kettlebells. But as Antoine mentioned, because of the distribution of the weight of the kettlebell itself, I think that it's maybe like a more intermediate skill that you need to work up to. Like if it's your first day in the gym, I wouldn't recommend like, you try to do like some sort of like a offset kettlebell squat or lunge or something along those lines. Like, if you want to do a kettlebell swing as a warm up, sure. That's a good learn, like the hip hinge, for example. But I'd say your use of it should probably be sparingly until you start to develop some of those movement competencies.
Yeah, and like I said, that's the only reason why like I get hesitant about doing that stuff because, you know, A, we want to make sure like we're doing everything right, like Roman said, and B, like the world of programming is a lot harder sometimes when you're more advanced in the field compared of like, hey, do full body 2 or 3 days a week. And then, if you're not getting sore, like maybe add some sets and reps here. It's, there's a little bit more to it. Because the thing is like my Thursdays and Saturdays, like my Thursdays are like all accessory work. And then Saturday, it's kind of like more like a fun day or maybe like I'm lacking in some areas. So like that's the only reason why I would throw that training in there because just like I said, it'd be like a nice refresher slash like something new that I could pursue like different goals in. But see, the thing is though, if I get back into sled work and like farmer carries or farmer walks, whatever you want to call them, those were my Saturdays. Those were like my fun days. Like there was nothing better than just loading the sled and just doing that for like 30 minutes and then doing a bunch of little things after that and then like going home. Because, Saturday I'm off work and all that. So it just depends.
For sure.
But yeah. And also too, we've got some resources, Roman and I, we know some people. Our boy Alex Maldonado is actually pretty trained up on kettlebells. So yeah, maybe like, another thing, I know he's quite busy. He's a coach and, a parent and, he's doing a lot of good things. So like someone like that, I'd probably bring in at least because I don't really want to do it myself. Let's just say that.
Makes sense. I'd say in the same token though, like it's important for people not to be afraid of movement, you know? So like if you really want, if that's what's like getting you to the gym, like if you want to try it, like go ahead, have at it. Just try to look up some resources. Gainz Nation Gainz podcast is a really good resource. Try and look up
heck yeah.
at least 2 or 3 resources of individuals in the fitness industry that you trust. And then just try and learn like, hey, what's the proper way to do this? There's like a lot of movements that you can do and you can do really wrong and you can still do them relatively safe. So yeah, like Antoine said, it all just depends. But if you really want to try something, I don't want to shy anybody away from something. But I think it's also important to note that it's like, hey, it is a little bit more of like an advanced like move. I remember when I was like first getting back into like working out at the gym when I'd moved to Chicago, I had a goal of alleviating my back pain, and I signed up for this this gym. It's a pretty nice gym in Chicago. It's called FFC or was it Fitness Formula Club. So we had one right outside of our office in Chicago. So part of the package is like when you first sign up, you have to attend or it's an option to attend, or I don't even remember how they said it, but you attend 3 like personal training sessions. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, I kind of want to get into personal training myself. I'd be interested to see how somebody would program this. And like first day, the trainer programmed single arm kettlebell cleans. Like, not a good recommendation, dude. The guy was probably like a deep trainer, and I don't want to trash him or anything like that, but that's a pretty sophisticated and advanced move.
For someone that doesn't know anything about you.
Exactly. For somebody that knows like next to nothing about me. And like I had performed barbell cleans in the past. And like even that being the case, like it was awkward for me and like trying to figure out like the flip of the wrist and where to position it in like the shoulder socket and like the balance portion and whatnot. So not a good call at all. I would have done a whole lot more pre-screening of somebody. If somebody wanted to try that out, that's all fine and well. But more likely than not, on like the first day that I meet somebody, I want to see how they hinge. Are they hinging appropriately, or are they going like straight into kyphosis as soon as they shoot their hips back? Like, hey, we need to focus back on a basic hinge before we try to focus on starting from a hinge, exploding up through that, driving with your hips, being able to coordinate the pulling of the kettlebell up, and then also the tucking of your arm underneath the weight, positioning the kettlebell appropriately in the middle of your chest and your like. There's so many coordination pieces to that one movement. That's just the example that sticks out of my mind. That it's like, man, like we as a personal trainer, as like a physical therapist, like our duties are to be able to like do right by the client. And before you like start like creating this crazy like exciting fun program, you want to get to know that person. It's almost like you're dating that person, right? Like you want to learn about like, you know, how they grew up and like what their values are and what their goals and their dreams, their aspirations. You need to learn those kind of things about like movement. So if you're just starting your fitness journey today, for example, you want to start to, that's why I love fitness journaling. That's why you need to start determining like, hey, what am I competent at? Are you a pretty good squatter, for example? Like take a video of yourself. Don't look at the camera, just squat as you think is necessary. Take a couple of different angles. Look at it from the side view. So look at it like this, for example. So we're going to go here. So we want to do side view first. What does this look like? Come from the front. What do the knees do? Come here. And then go back, watch the video. Maybe even take a couple additional angles. There's that thirsty thought camera angle for you, buddy. But on the real, you do those kind of things, and then you learn, like, yeah, I'm a decent squatter, actually. From what I understand, like, the back is, like, pretty, like, neutral spine. I get decent depth. No real, like, painful areas or, like, you know, like, really stiff areas or anything like that. Okay, cool. Next, move on to, like, a hinge. Can you, like, perform like 10 or 20 body weight push-ups, for example? If no, that's totally fine. Like it's pretty common with certain populations. That might be an area to develop competencies before you try to like throw like, you know, two 45-pound plates like on each side and like bench like 225, because like guys will do that kind of thing, and it doesn't always work out, and sometimes like they can get injured because it's not a lift that they're accustomed to. So I don't know, thoughts about that, buddy? What do you think about like developing competencies, like even if it's like within yourself first?
Yeah, so I want to comment on the first piece is when I was a personal trainer for about a month, while I was working my primary job and then quit because it was like 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day that I couldn't do for a long time. So I did it for a month. But like, so my couple of clients that I had, because it was only a month, so I think it was like 1 or 2 people. Like Roman was saying in the beginning, I spent like maybe like an hour or so initially before we even went into training and talking to the person. So like, I even made like a list for myself, like a raw data sheet where like Roma was saying like, what's the training like? What did you do in the past? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? What kind of family history do you have? Like, is there like diabetes, like heart issues? Like, is that why you're like trying to reach this goal to like not have those issues? Kind of like when we had Dr. Tyler Saunders on, like the longevity stuff. And this was like back in, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago, 6 years ago that I was doing this stuff. So a little bit about like kind of like that stuff where it's like, where do you see yourself? Like where's like that starting baseline first before we even do anything? So I think like what Roma was kind of going through, like, there's still a lot of people that do stuff like what I was doing, which I think that you should be doing, obviously. And I don't think you should be, and we see it all the time to this day. I see trainers doing what Roman was saying all the time. And because Roman has been out of a gym for quite a while, like 3 years, like, I could tell you this day, like I still see like, I mean, the one day, like one of the trainers was training a younger individual that's healthy, that looked like they didn't have a lot of movement problems at all. They were, good to go pretty much. And they were having the person do just like machines where they weren't like testing like if the person was able to squat perfectly or not, or deadlift, or move in certain ways, where it's just like, well, you have a young healthy individual, why aren't you testing that? Because this person could benefit quite a bit. And to that point, like I just wanted to comment on that. And then like your squat form, like, Roman has definitely, like, in my opinion, like a more structured book description squat form. And then you look at mine, it's like, I have like a Stan Efferding squat form where like no one likes it at all, or like a Lane Norton squat. No one likes that squat form at all. So, and Roman has helped me quite a bit, but like I just wanted to jokingly comment on that portion too, because like Roman's is like, man, I really like, I always think like, man, I really wish my body was built to squat like that. But unfortunately, you can't really change how your body's built, and you kind of have to work around that feature and like your form and all that. So I wanted to just comment on that too, secondly, because I thought that was pretty funny. Because like a lot of the times when people see me squat, they're like, God damn, like this guy is just leaning his chest way so hard, like heavily forward, and Romans is just like the perfect upright position and all that. So
Yeah, and like again, like everyone's limb lengths are going to be slightly different and like individual to you, right? So that's why it's important to develop that, like both that mental log, but also maybe like even a physical log. Like I do not perform upright, like Olympic front squats well. I am best suited for low bar, forward leaning squats where I drive more with my hips than I do with my quads. Like
yeah,
to write something like that down and then like almost use that as like a mantra. Like doesn't mean like don't try to have like a more upright squat, but what that might mean is if you're like, hey, I want to grow the muscles in my legs, I'm going to use a squat. I want to grow my quads, I'm going to use a squat. Well, maybe for that person, like a squat isn't going to do it for you. Like it would
yeah,
be a decent booty builder, but maybe you have to think about like, hey, Bulgarian split squat. How about like maybe a lunge? How about like leg extensions? How about like maybe a Smith squat or something different, some other movement variation that for you feel it more in your quadriceps than a, let's say, a powerlifting type squat movement.
yeah. I love it, buddy. Um, we're at time, so I'm just gonna end it here. We could obviously talk all day, but thank you guys for tuning in, watching. Please comment, share, share with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.